more about the host client and the server a little bit in more details. First thing that I want to address is about actually figure out what's the difference between MCP host and MCP client. This is actually really interesting solution and really right solution for the Anthropic to actually separate the logic. One logic is working with the LLM. Actually, it's processing the data, we are interacting with it. And another logic is responsible for actually sending the request, getting the request, and basically keeping the connection with the server, right? So as I mentioned before, you can see about the MCP host as your AI application that you're using of choice. And when you write something, you actually write to the MCP host. And MCP host, on the other hand, it actually includes multiple MCP clients inside. And not exactly includes, it can spawn multiple MCP clients inside. Why exactly spawn? Because the client is responsible one-to-one connection to our MCP server. So if we have 100 MCP servers, we would have 100 MCP clients, which would be basically managing the connection to it. And it's responsible, you can see a transport layer. Once again, just you can think of it as the highway, for example, but specifically for the MCP, which this protocol uses to securely and quickly to transfer data back and forth. That's basically transport layer for transferring and transferring data. And MCP client is responsible to understand this like connection and to be connected to the server and to have constant communication with it. Okay. So that's why we have the MCP host as the wrapper, and then we have the MCP client as specifically entity for managing the data transfer and communication. And then on the MCP server side, what magical things are happening? All right. At the beginning, I have mentioned that the MCP client, or our host in this case, let's name it already correctly, it's always knowledgeable about what servers we have at hand, right? And how does it do it? Does it analyze code or something like that? It's much more simple. On the MCP server side, we're actually providing, among other stuff, name and the description for our multiple tools or features inside of this server. So whatever we are connecting to the client side, actually host knows about those features. It actually just like a wall of text, right? We're just sending all this description to the LLM, and then LLM can decide, since LLM are already powerful enough, they can decide what exactly they need for the job. All right. And then it just automatically able to connect to it, just understanding where it's coming from, right? To which server it belongs. So it's really, in one way, super simple, but really elegant way of solving this dynamic issue. Just providing, we are creators and developers, we are providing actually information about the server on the server side. And this way, host would always basically know about whatever we are doing there. This is like the all general information for now. We will go deeper, no worries. But also, I want to address that inside of the webinar and general in your developing career, you would be most likely working with these servers, because client sides, most likely you will be using like big established applications. So you don't need to build one from the scratch, right? So that's where we would be specifically focusing on developing this server, which you can connect and use with whatever client of your choice. Since once again, it's much more easier to pick some big established guys, right? And then server will perform the task that you want and would send to the client of your choice.